Hey everybody, welcome back to Build. My name is Brittany Jones-Cooper, and I'm so excited for today's guest. I'm gonna be here with the cast from Let's Get Physical, an hilarious new comedy about aerobics of all things. But before we bring them out, I wanna remind you that you at home can also participate in today's conversation. Over here, you should see a little button that says submit a question. So as you're watching today, if you have any questions, click that button, submit a question, and we'll try to get to it at the end of the show. So without any further ado, let's play a clip from Let's Get Physical.
Meet Joe, former aerobic star, current rock star.
You do remember your dad, don't you?
The Republican Richard Simmons. How can I forget him? Win!
He died.
What?
I'm sorry for your loss.
And for how much you gained.
I'm donating your $8 billion inheritance to the winning gym of the Competitive Aerobics Championship.
Now, things are about to get cutthroat.
We want your dad's $8 million.
Great. Hey, how do I get up onto the roof? I need to kill myself.
Things are about to get personal.
You look like someone who ate Joe, kept his face, only older.
And things are about to get
Are you sweating just standing there?
I'm wearing a jean jacket.
physical.
Do you guys not like your outfits?
Flame-proof.
Girl-proof.
I'm so sorry. Did you get into competitive aerobics for all the ass?
The one and only aerobics comedy,
Our bodies are temples.
My body's a dive bar.
Let's Get Physical. New comedy, Wednesdays, 8:30, 7:30 Central, January 24th.
All right, guys, let's keep it going for Jane Seymour, Matt Jones, AnnaLynne McCord, and Diamantopoulos. All right, so just watching that trailer, I don't even know where to start. I watched actually the first 3 episodes of Let's Get Physical, and I have to say, just in these times, it's so fun to just watch a show that's just fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you're watching it, and it's goofy, and it's silly, and you can just enjoy it while you're watching it. So I'll let anybody take it, but what was the inspiration behind this whole thing?
Oh, well, there's these videos on YouTube of the Crystal Light National Aerobics Competition from 1985, hosted by Alan Thicke. They are the funniest videos. They're so weird.
Everyone should watch them.
And
laugh.
yeah, Dan and Ben Newmark, the writer-creators of the show, they took just that clip, and they were like, we want to make a show that's like these ridiculous videos. So that was where the idea came from.
And I feel like more and more we've seen those videos like Drake, they'll put like Drake music to them and they'll have them doing the aerobics dancing. So I feel like it's really kind of on point to what's going on in the culture too.
Yeah.
Like, did you guys spend some time going through and watching all those old school?
Yeah, we had to. I mean, you get to it a little later in the series, but Matt and I actually had to study them religiously because we end up having to do a full-on aerobics routine.
Yeah.
These guys literally did all of these rehearsals for this kind of dance choreography, but it was dance, it wasn't aerobics. And 5 minutes before they go on with this major, pressure's on, where it's our biggest day of shooting yet, it's just covering the championship. They literally completely redo their choreography themselves based on stuff they studied.
Well, because we were like, we have these routines, but then I was like, it's funnier when Chris just does this. He runs around, he goes this.
But it looked like
nothing
aerobics.
was funnier than that, and it does.
When you see it, it needed to look like aerobics, and they realized that some of these moves looked more like dance,
More like
and
dance.
it wasn't.
choreographed.
What was that grapevine thing that I had to do? We had
it's
just
just
a
a-
little show thing where we talked about the origin of aerobics, and apparently this is a true story. It started out with a colonel or somebody in the military who designed this as an appropriate form of exercise for the military, and the men did not think it was quite right for them, so
Quite masculine.
quite
It
masculine
wasn't
enough.
masculine enough.
Yeah, so
it was actually like funded by the military. They studied, someone studied cardiovascular everything, and that's where aerobics came from.
right. So that's what we have in our show. So Colonel Force is supposedly the guy.
My father.
Yep, my husband.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your character.
Yes.
Because he's an interesting character. He's really kind of struggling through life a little bit.
Yeah.
So can you kind of tell the audience who he is?
He's everybody you know. I don't know. Some of my best friends are people who fail constantly, but they're hilarious while they do it. And you just like, the kind of people you go to lunch with, you're like, what is happening?
His friends are like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. And you're like,
I'll
no,
say
you're
it.
not.
Brendan, Mike, tell them to their face. He's just struggling through life, trying to see where he fits in, like everybody nowadays. Yeah.
And how does the aerobics world bring him in?
He ran away from aerobics, got fat, and started a cover band called Guns Van Bovi. And and sometimes you run away from the thing you're actually good at because you don't want to be good at it, and you're good at it. Yeah. Yeah.
I love the scene where I think somebody calls him fat and lazy. He's like, I'm just chubby and tired.
Yeah.
And I think we can all relate
Exactly.
to just feeling a little chubby
Yeah.
and tired. He's actually quite relatable. And Jane, you play his mother, who is a force. Not pun intended.
Literally,
I guess the
the
last
Janet force.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about her.
So she was a beauty queen back in the day, married the colonel, and I'm sure he was tough to deal with. Now that he's gone, she wants to make sure that her son, who she hasn't seen or heard from for at least 3 years, inherits the money, because the dead colonel says that unless you win the National Aerobics Championship, you're not getting the money. And I'm looking at him when he comes back at the funeral, and he's not looking too good. In fact, I am a body-shaming mother. I am a worst nightmare mother. I am a pick your son apart mother. I am always picking at him, trying to, yeah. So she's really very manipulative. And what's fun about Janet Force is they keep giving me things that you would never imagine either Janet or Jane Seymour to say or do.
Exactly. No, that was my biggest takeaway. I was like, did Jane Seymour just do that?
Oh, we came to
Oh, you can't wait till you see the next episode.
episode 4. Like, we got to a place where, like, what can we get Jane to say?
Oh God!
And will she do it? She always did it.
I always did it, but it was actually funny because it wasn't scripted originally. It was after lunch. We came back from lunch and it was handed to me, and they said, "How do you feel about this?" And they're all looking at me like, and I went, "Yeah." I said, 3 minutes, and we did it, and it was hilarious. And I thought they'd never keep it in the show, but apparently they say it's one of the funniest.
She describes in great detail my dead father's phallus.
Situation. Yes.
Is what I like to say.
What was it? His sword.
I blocked it out.
You blocked it out.
Earmuffs. And then Chris and AnnaLynne, we have you down there. You're the opposite camp, right? So these two have more of a kind of old school aerobics thing going, but you guys have your own operations. So tell us a little bit
We're
about
the face of the future of fitness.
Shut up.
No,
We are winners.
And you have to say it
We
with
like
that voice
to win.
too. We are the face of the future of fitness. But
And you look so good doing it,
Thanks,
honey.
So do you. Yeah, we're the embodiment of all of the ugly that's out there in social media and selfies and people that sort of put on this fake level of perfection. That's the gym that we run. Our gym is so abhorrent that you actually have to look a certain way in order to get in.
You already have to look like you've been working out
Yeah,
at maybe
yeah.
their shitty gym in order
What's
to
cool
have
about
the
it
hours.
is that they're clueless. They're buffoons. It's not played mean-spiritedly. It's played as two complete idiots. Now she's actually not so much.
but
She's
literally-
She
quite
sort of seems to be the brains, a little bit of the operation.
He's the idiot.
Yeah.
True, like the true
But like
idiot.
we really, it is more important than anything in the world to be beautiful and perfect looking. And if you have to face tune and you have to perfect yourself to the point that you look like an insane alien, then you will do that. And we will post it on our social media for our gym.
Amen.
Because, right, honey?
That's right, honey. That's right. That's right.
Be perfect.
Yes, I know.
There's a big thing in this show.
Like, you bring that character out like real fast. I was like, oh man, do I?
There's a big thing in this show about masculinity of like, I think I am and he thinks he is.
Right.
And it just shows how actually stupid that is.
Yes.
And she's actually the most masculine out of all of us.
Yeah, I would definitely say that the women are definitely
Yeah, they
strength.
are much stronger than we are.
We control these dudes.
100%.
The show
They
is
say
about
the woman is the neck, right? She
the
turns.
show is about smart women manipulating men into not killing themselves.
No, they're the neck and the head. We're literally just we're like hanging on.
You're just the arm.
Yeah.
But we let them think that they're really smart.
Yeah,
You do.
Right?
like in real life.
You're
And,
so smart,
Chris,
baby.
you're-
And we get into quite a rivalry. So it turns out that he
Yeah.
and I went to high school together.
Yeah.
We competed in the aerobics back in the day. And the reason that we hate each other is because in the aerobics championship finals when we were 17, 18,
Yeah.
I defeated him. He broke his ankle. I defeated him, and then I stole his girlfriend and married her.
Yeah.
And so that's really where the legend
Just,
begins.
not nice.
I'm really glad
I
you
went
didn't
willingly because I like winners. But if you win next season, maybe I'll be with you.
Yeah, maybe.
But I do, and I mean, you probably can't tell me, but I feel like there might be something still left over for.
I really there's an episode that Connor Pritchard, one of our EPs, really loves, and it's episode 6, and there's a whole like going back in time and kind of rehashing the Joe Claudia story, and we talked about it. The producers and I talked about the dynamic of Claudia, which is that she's very this person that you see most of the show, but it's really a facade, and that she has these really real moments when she's just with Joe, just the two of them. And it's kind of that moment in life when you split, right? Where something that's so important to you becomes the deciding factor of that fork in the road, where you go a completely different direction, perhaps from who you really are. And I think that having that kind of center for her allows this kind of tiny little flip-flop of like, is she actually an okay person? No, definitely not. But like, there's moments where she might be.
I like to think of it as like all shows have this like will they, won't they thing. Totally. Ours is they shouldn't, but they might.
It could happen. But
They
like,
should
no.
not be together, but they might.
That is true. I actually don't know if your character could handle it if that happened.
No, he'd explode.
Can you go a little bit more into who this guy is, because he's like every CrossFit guy on steroids you've ever seen.
He literally is. I mean, his backstory, what you will ultimately find out is that what he became is not how he began. Right? Like all great supervillain stories, he started out with good intentions. But no, I think that on the surface, he believes that maintaining some form of image perfection will quantify and make sure that his life all makes sense. From his wife to the way that he looks to his gym. But deep down inside, he's hurting. He really is hurting, and he just wants meaning. And he doesn't find it. He just keeps pushing for perfection, and he's okay with that. Yeah.
But there is a scene we do like It's a Wonderful Lifestyle episode kind of, and there's a complete flip.
Where I get so high on diet pills that I pass out and I hallucinate an entire episode.
And
what would have happened had I not won the aerobics?
Had not won. And the orange hat, all I'm going to say is the orange hat. And if you don't watch that episode, you miss something really amazing that Chris does.
Yeah. What would have happened had he not had the world?
I'm just going to say #doofus and orange hat, and you need to watch it.
I haven't seen the orange hat, but I have seen him doing a headstand and then clicking his feet.
The monkey clap!
For me, that was like, that's worth watching, guys. Just to see him do this headstand and clapping.
The monkey clap looks like this.
Oh,
do it,
yes,
do it.
yes.
Yes.
do this.
Yes.
Give it up.
Yes.
Give it up, guys, for the monkey clap.
That's my husband, everyone!
To do that in a suit is impressive.
Jane, your turn.
I was just going to say I could embarrass you even further here, Matt.
Please do not.
But we did see some of your moves. I saw on your Instagram you did sort of some of the old school aerobic moves with the leg lifts.
Right. Well, you know, they put me on the set and in the outfit, and of course I remembered the days because I was actually randomly on the cover of the Jane Fonda pregnancy workout.
That's amazing.
But I did all those classes, and I went and paid for them, did them, and then when they shot the cover, Jane Fonda turned to me and said, "Aren't you an actress?" And I went, "Yeah, is that a problem?" And she went, because no one knew, no one realized. But I did all that stuff, and I used to be a dancer, so I thought, I can do this. And I kept thinking, what happens to the leg lifts? And then I just kept thinking, this sort of dirty dog, and every exercise.
You can't just say dirty dog. What is the dirty dog?
The dirty dog. I don't know. I don't know.
AnnaLynne?
Okay.
Don't please.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus,
yes.
Jane.
Guys, I love today. Okay. For Jane and the dirty dog.
Woo!
Fabulous.
Jane Seymour, everyone.
Anyway, I'm supposed to be really good for your glutes.
Yeah.
I, of course, lifted a little high. But the funny part was that when I was trying to do this, I kept hurting myself. So I didn't actually intend to be quite that funny, but it became really funny because every time I lifted a leg up, my hip went out and this went. Anyway.
That's the move pre-thigh master.
Oh,
yeah.
Pre-thigh master, yes.
So the wardrobe is another component of this show.
Yeah,
and
you
again, it
saw
is the
the-
two different camps because we have the metrics very kind of like militant black, but then we kind of have the old school aerobics outfit
Yeah,
which
like
you bust out and like
humiliating spandex.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
All spandex is humiliating.
Yeah. Well,
it's true.
for
How
me a
was
little
it
bit
donning
more.
that and jumping around and doing that for you?
It was humiliating. I don't know. I lost 30 pounds while shooting this show.
Because of the
Really?
I
humiliation?
did. No, just because it turns out if you do aerobics for 6 hours a day for 2 months, you lose a lot of weight.
You may be onto something.
I
there,
think it
Matt.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Can we talk a little bit more about the training? Because it kind of culminates with this big aerobics national competition. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but how much did you really have to prepare for that? You lost that much weight. That's
How much
kind
did
of
I have
rigorous.
to prepare for what?
For like the big...
The big
the big finale.
The big championship finals at the end?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know that we necessarily... What do I got? Go ahead. Thank you. No, we... Our bodies were broken when we were rehearsing that stuff and shooting that stuff.
When we were shooting the finale, I was backstage with tubs of Epsom salts soaking my feet.
Something happened to
Just
your
a real
feet?
deal, yeah.
Yeah, no.
I pulled a muscle in my calf on the second to last.
And we should say this, by the way, because we make fun of the aerobics world, right? Yeah. The truth of the matter is, it's some of the hardest physical work that I've
just
ever had to do.
continue.
Yeah, the repetition of it. You know, they may be smiling, but dear God, they're hurting inside.
No, it's Miss Universe smiles because it's not like that. They were in pain. I was like on my iPad being the little manager behind the scenes, not having to do anything. I was like, you guys look great up there. Killing it.
I had two things where I'm singing and dancing while doing it. I did it in the first episode and I do it in the finale as well. And I'm not good at that because it's so hard to sing and dance
And play the
at the
piano.
same time. I
play the piano?
Yes.
And I played the piano in the But Chris actually does it for a living on Broadway and stuff. And I'm like,
It's not easy.
I don't want to do that. It's so hard.
like,
I'm a
sign up
lazy
for this.
television actor.
Oh, that is amazing. So do you think this show, we'll have a little deeper introspective question, does it offer some sort of commentary about where we are with physical fitness? Because it is sort of like we're making fun of things, but fitness is like a thing now, and it's a very intense experience.
I think it does.
I don't know. You guys can, maybe, if you have anything. I honestly, my favorite thing about the show right now is it has nothing to do with anything. There's no politics. There's no like underlying like secret, I don't know, like hardcore meaning to it, which just like, do you remember when comedy was just comedy and like you just watched a show to laugh?
Yeah, Night Court wasn't about small claims court. You know, Bull wasn't based on someone, you know.
Like we're not saying anything except you need a break from the chaos of right now, and it might be nice to just laugh at
for
something.
25 minutes. It'll
It's
do
an
you good.
escapism, yeah. But there is an element that it is poking fun,
Yeah.
at least, at how ridiculous it is. And I think that it's very subliminal, very subtle, and maybe you don't like walk away saying, yeah, we really should dial back on the Instagram photos, shouldn't we, honey? But it might be something that happens on a subliminal level.
Yeah. I think just like the use of the Fitbits for like that was what jumped out at me. I was like,
I think what it shows
I get
about
annoyed
these-
with the Fitbit
I hate
people. I'm
those
like, I
Fitbit
don't care how
things.
many
I think
steps
what
you
it
take.
shows about these people, like the like Fitbit, like super fitness people, is just there's some deep
Well,
insecurities there.
yes, and there was actually something that they wanted to cut out of, and I lost my shit. Oh, am I allowed to curse? I just
you
did.
can curse.
Sorry. I lost it on the director. I was like, and I'm very quiet right up until I'm not, and then I went like, that
You're never
ponytail's-
quiet.
Shut up. You be quiet. You'll be my double X. But I literally was like, Brian, he's like, we're losing it. I'm like, I don't care. We're not taking this out. I am firing her on my iPad. I'm not telling her that she's cut. And this is literally in the scene. They're doing the tryouts for the metrics for the aerobics finals for us. And I'm sitting there on my iPad typing things. And the young women and men in the tryouts are supposed to get a message on their Fitbit that they're like being
they're
let
booted.
go of. I'm literally standing this far away, like 5 feet from them.
Right.
And they were trying to like eliminate it because I was like, no, this says so much.
About interpersonal communication.
About, yes.
Yeah.
And I fought for it and I was like, this is happening. And yay, it happened.
And it was funny actually
And-
because she is 10 feet away and it's like just so
It
disrespectful.
was just like
but
rude and
yeah.
terrible. Yeah. So there was an element of how, we sit in the same room and text each other and like we've, kind of put this wall of technology between each other.
It's true. And we're going to open up for questions, but I feel like with a show like this is a good final question. I want to know just like an outrageous, laughable moment, just a blooper, just something that you'll never forget from working on this set.
The
together.
most painful
Thing they do.
experience of my life was episode 4 of this show. They put me and there's 3 other. I have a team on the show. They're not here. Misha, James, and Ja. They put the 4 of us in full body casts, like full body casts that were on easels that we couldn't move our bodies. And I did not know, we were in them for like 6 hours. Like the amount of pain, it was the most painful thing I was crying. We would look at each other because we're all it's like if you're in this frozen cast and they would have to screw us into it and they made these, you couldn't move your body. And it's a part of the show, you'll see. But it was so painful that it's like transcending pain where you're like, oh, I'm not dead. Like I thought I was gonna die.
It's like completely out of body.
Yeah, it was so horrible, but I made it through, and it's a great show.
I found it quite hard to fill condoms whilst talking to my husband's
That was the scene I was
picture.
talking about. I was like, this is amazing.
Oh.
And then having filled the condoms and arranged them around his, what were they called?
Guns Van Bovie.
Guns Van Bovie band,
band.
who were all out of it. I then had to take some clothes off just to try and persuade them that possibly, or definitely, I had actually had all of them. All
Guys,
of them.
this scene is outrageous. Yes. Like, I know it sounds really crazy, but it's
pretty.
I had an eating
outrageous.
scene that was really challenging.
Oh God, that was funny.
It was funny, but so we had a table spread full of every bit of junk food you could possibly imagine, and a very short amount of time for me to shove all of it into my mouth. And that was a really interesting exercise in the tensile strength of my cheeks.
Yeah.
And how much I could fit in there without literally bursting at the seams.
And a quick aside on that, we did the reverse where it's just me reacting to him, and I didn't want him to shove food in his face again. So I was like, you got to do something that like surprises me and makes me go like, oh. So we're rolling the camera, and he pulls out his balls. Wasn't on camera.
Okay.
Wasn't on camera. I consented.
And you did ask for
I
it.
didn't.
I'm going to choose to believe that, though, because it's a great story.
I said do something.
All right. Did you have anything, AnnaLynne, or should we go to questions?
No, I was perfect throughout the entire show. You know, I didn't mess up at all. No, I think there was the like screaming on the hood of the car.
That was fun.
That was fun. And then I might have said some things about my carnal relations that were probably unnecessary for a crew or anybody to ever hear in life. So we were supposed to be blurting out. It was kind of like it was a throwback to why Claudia started Rage Cycle, which was, you know, on the spin cycle, and she screams out things she hates about life. Like the idea of getting pregnant and like traffic on the 405. And I don't even think they're in LA, so I don't know why it's in the 405.
We stood on the hood of a car at 7 in the morning in the freezing cold in the middle of Halifax, Nova Scotia, and screamed into the woods for 2 hours.
So that was the setup, right? Yeah. And then they were like, just go for it. Just say, like, anything. And I was like, I can't even say what.
No,
I was like, maybe you don't want to repeat it now. But
like, you know, expletive, detail, unnecessary. But yeah, and then I kind of like looked around, saw a lot of eyes everywhere. I was like, can we go on to the next take?
memories.
You know what? We got closer.
We did. At least
That's
you did
amazing.
To me.
All right, so now let's open it up. Does anybody in the audience have a question?
Anybody?
In the front.
Jane, after so many iconic roles like James Bond and James Bond Girl and Maria Callas, do you have any other big dream roles to transform into some big personalities, or maybe directors that you haven't worked with before and you would like to work with?
You know what? I'm very superstitious of naming something that I really want to do or a director I want to work with, because whenever I've done that in the past, it doesn't happen. So I am very open to playing almost anything right now. You know, the really fun part about my career has been that since I took on comedy as well, that I get to do both equally, and not very many actresses get to. And I think because I'm a certain age, I can play grandmothers and I can play, you know, cougars or whatever they call them. Or I've been told that when they get, you know the worst thing?
What?
What's a polar bear? No, someone who's white down there.
Oh.
Isn't that disgusting? I heard that one day. I said, I'm never playing a polar bear, ever.
It was just a big chubby gay guy.
A big chubby gay. Anyway, no, I
have good friends that are polar bears.
I know. I knew I shouldn't have said that one, but it wasn't me. Someone else said it. But anyway, it's supposed to be comedy. But I've done some movies I'm very proud of that I'm waiting for the release date on at the moment, and I've got some in the can that I really like, and hopefully there are more in the future.
Awesome. Next.
Hi. I was wondering if you guys could name someone you would love to have as a guest star on the show.
Kate Middleton. To have royalty on the show would be hilarious.
When you first said that, I thought you said Kate Upton, and I was like, Matt.
I already did a movie with Kate Upton. I did. I got to make out with Kate Upton.
Oh my God, jealous.
Yep. That's all.
Well, Jane's gonna get us Olivia Newton-John.
I called her and I said, "Would you come on the show?" And she had, she's been fighting her health, but I think she might come. Yeah. I think once she sees the show, but she's a very close friend of mine, and I think that would be really fun for the two of us together, don't you? Yeah. Because we've been friends since 1976.
Oh, so she's a real friend. Yeah.
No, she's a real friend.
That's amazing. Yeah, get her on the show.
And I didn't realize until I was talking to her on the phone and looking back at the photographs of her from that era, but she had that blonde, I think I kind of morphed into her without realizing it.
Tom Selleck and David Hasselhoff need to be on the show. Both of them need to, because I feel like Barry's entire life is based on wishing that he was
the Chucks and the Toms.
Chucks and the Toms.
Chucks and the Toms.
Yeah, he talks about it. The reason he has a mustache is because all the greatest Chucks and all the greatest Toms had mustaches. Tom Selleck, Tom Skerritt, Chuck Norris, Chuck Bronson.
All of them, one episode. Yeah. Epic.
Yeah. Also Richard Simmons.
I'm a huge NFL fan, so I would love to have an episode with just amazing. Shut up.
Any Patriots?
Yes, all Patriots. Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman, Gronk. Just have them all doing aerobics.
Physical specimens.
And I'm just going to do what we do at the Metrics, where I do the body scan, and I'm like, I think you can come to our gym.
I mean, post Super Bowl, that would probably be really great for you.
Yes.
Cool. Just saying. And do we have one more question before we head out?
Hey guys, so you guys seem to have great chemistry together. Did you know each other at all before working on the show, or do you spend time together?
Jane and I shot a movie together about 8 years ago.
In which you played my assistant, and you ended up getting involved with my daughter, who happens to be my real daughter. It was played by my real daughter.
So I had to make out with her real daughter in front of her.
And since I am the mother, I was a little concerned about Matt, so I got to know Matt quite well. Right, Matt?
Yeah.
So anyway, not that well. Anyway, but it was we had a lot of fun on that show. So when I was asked to do this show, and I heard it was Matt, I went yes right away, because first he's very talented, and secondly he's one of the nicest guys on the planet.
Thank you. That's
nice. True, actually. He is.
Yeah, that's true. He's a good guy, and he is. No.
All right. But we didn't. None of us knew each other.
No.
And we were just trapped on the tip of the world in Halifax, Nova Scotia for 2 months.
Can I just say, we did have a great time.
We had a great time.
We had a ball, and
We
Halifax was fun, and we all just got along kind of instantly, actually.
Yeah, well, this was my first comedy ever. I was a little nervous to try comedy, and I was like, I want to do comedy forever. This is the funnest thing in the world. And the guys were like, not all the sets are this fun. So we got lucky.
We did. We really did. Everyone was a nice person.
We did get lucky.
Well, watching it, it looked like a lot of fun. It was so much fun to watch. So make sure you guys, it just debuts tomorrow, right? Wednesday, tomorrow January 24th at 8:30.
8:30.
7:30 Central. Guys, give it up one more time for Jane, Matt, AnnaLynne.
Thanks, guys.
And Chris.